Welcome back to the Valley Variety. My name is Jacob Jones. He has been Yates. We have a very, very special guest in the studio with us today. The first unrestricted free agent in NBA history, Suns Ring of Honor member, Tom Chambers.
NBA All-Star MVP from 87,
Yeah.
right? That was the 1987 All-Star MVP.
You guys' research is it's okay
like
so
that?
far. Yeah. You're
Four-time
okay.
All-Star.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually looking up that All-Star game
Yeah.
because I got curious. Jordan, Magic, Bird, Kareem, and Dr. J. All-Star MVP is the
Did
30.
Did you say Magic?
Yeah, Magic was there. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the reason I was the MVP.
He had how 19 assists, right?
He had a bunch. You know, we were behind by quite a few points there at the end, and we made a big run. And Rolando Blackman put a couple free throws in and put us into overtime, and we were able to beat him in overtime. I think it was the highest scoring All-Star game like in history up until when they started this new we don't play defense stuff.
Before the whole injury, don't get anyone hurt.
No. All-Star games.
The Russell
All-Star
Westbrook
games.
and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, now it's just a 3-point spree and no defense. You know, back then we got after it. You know, I mean, $2,500 extra for the winners was a big amount back then.
Well, hey, you had the most 3-pointers in that game.
I did?
Yeah.
Like
two for three.
Oh, man. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, you think about that. I was hot that game with 2 3-pointers, and yeah.
So what we're saying is, like, Dirk didn't change the game. You did. Tom Chambers
because I had
changed
2
it.
threes?
Yeah, no, you score 3-point lights out, 60% from three, you know.
Well, I mean, I didn't shoot. If I shot 1 3 a game, it was a lot back then. I really didn't. And the only reason I started shooting threes was just to get people to come up on me and guard me so I could go dunk on them. Because they all backed off of me and just kind of invited me to shoot then. So I became a good shooter, and guys had to play me honest so I could do what I like to do best, go to the rim.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the dunk, because what everyone knows your career for, the dunk over Mark Jackson. I've been wondering, was that personal? Was that highlight tapes I watched as a kid? That looked pretty personal over.
I had no problem with Mark Jackson whatsoever. It was personal with the New York Knicks. They were the best team in the East at the time, and we were trying to be the best team in the West, and so we wanted to, win that basketball game. It was like a 1-point game at the time, and we needed the hoop, and I wasn't going to let Mark Jackson get in the way of me getting to the rim, and so I got to the rim, and everybody keeps talking about it like that's the only dunk I ever had in my career, you know?
It's certainly...
But it's special in this way.
Incredible.
Because you put his
knee in his mouth.
You can find the GIF on Google. It's all over the dunk, the GIF of you dunking over Jackson. But you have a bronze statue of someone made for you of the dunk over. Like, who made that? Where did that?
Oh golly, I can't believe I don't remember the artist who made it. But when the Suns retired me in '97, they made 2 of them. They kept number 2, and I got number 1. So there's 2 bronze statues out there it's about 3 feet high. Really cool. I mean, the guy did a great job back then.
We're gonna need to see one of those.
I know we gotta.
And there's 2 of them.
Is it still at your house?
It is.
It's on your mantle somewhere.
It's not on my mantle. It's right next to the bathtub in the bathroom. It's in a very prominent place.
Do you sleep with it at night?
I do not. It's very heavy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so. It's pretty.
It's kind of cuddly, right? Or it's a good bathtub toy.
No. Are we serious in this show, or are we just
No,
going to be a smartass the entire time?
This is the most unserious show that you've ever been a part of.
So I do not sleep with the hardware. I know you sleep with hardware.
I
do not.
It's a tough truth.
We also have poll questions that we put out on our Instagram and Twitter, Tom. A poll question.
You have a brass poll too?
Jesus Christ. He's trying to avoid it, but I want to make a poll question on Instagram. Was that personal, yes or no?
No.
I'm still going to have to ask the viewers.
So you're thinking, so was it personal between me and Mark Jackson?
You said it was personal with the Knicks, so
yes.
It's 50-50 there. So.
Well, no, it was personal because we needed a basket. Is that personal?
That's good
Have
enough.
You ever scored a basket?
That's good enough for me.
And so the rec league, he's actually pretty good.
Talking to the wrong guy.
He has a nice straightaway in the rec league.
So he went speechless, and that's not like him. So obviously
he's
never scored a basket.
Man.
I like how I'm the one that's not speechless now.
I started in middle school, and it was a rough road for me. But this isn't about me, Tom. All right,
it's not about you.
It's not about me.
Well, I'm just glad I got you to stop speaking for a minute. That was awesome.
I got you to shut up yesterday. Remember that?
What did I do?
When you showed up late.
Well, I felt bad for a minute.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he really felt sorry. That's incredible.
I actually wanted to ask you about Jerry Colangelo, the godfather of sports here in Arizona. When you signed here in what was it, 87 first unrestricted free agent in NBA history. Why Phoenix? What did Jerry sell you on when we come to the Suns?
Well, I mean, the team had sold me the year before. I mean, we had played against them at the end of the year, and they had acquired, Kevin Johnson and Tyrone Corbin, Mark West. I mean, they had Eddie, they had Jeff Hornacek. I just thought they had the makings of a really good team. They needed a power forward, and they had traded Larry Nance to get those guys. So really, the big hole in their game was the power forward position. Certainly, good weather. I'd heard rumors that if I signed back with Seattle, they had a bunch of forwards at the time that they may trade me somewhere where I didn't like it. And so it was just a great opportunity for me to fill the exact criteria needed to become an unrestricted free agent. And Jerry came knocking, and he's like E.F. Hutton. When he talks, you listen. And we had a real early meeting the very first day we could do it. And I knew Paul Westphal. I'd worked his camp before. He had the same agent I had, so Paul organized that. And so I got to meet Cotton and Jerry, and we were down there in my agent's house. Howard Slusher's house, and they came in with a great proposal, and they didn't have to do a whole lot of selling because I loved the Phoenix area. I loved watching what those guys did the year before when they were trying to rebuild the team, and I wanted to be a part of that. I mean, I felt that we could be really good. I didn't know we were going to be going to the Western Conference Finals like the first year, but we were a really good team.
One of my favorite stories that Jerry's ever told about it is that he was at a meeting and David Stern was talking about unrestricted free agency. But the Seattle GM and owner were there too. And he looked at him because they were at the same table or next to him. He said, "You just lost Tom Chambers."
Yeah, he looked it very accurately, and I don't think he actually said it. I think he just kind of thought it when he looked up at him like, "Oh, well, you just lost a power forward. We traded one, and you lost one." So yeah, Jerry had that feeling right away. It's interesting that he knew right then in that meeting when they said you had to be going into your third contract, you had to be in the league. What was it, 7 years? I mean, there was some criteria you had to meet, and it was like it was written for me. I mean, it really was. It was exactly what needed to happen for me going into my 7th year to happen to be unrestricted.
By the time we have, I'd like to get into some stories. We have a really crazy story from your son Skylar about Charles Barkley. I'm not sure if he's told you, but what was it? I think you remember probably better than I do.
In a hot tub. I don't know whose house it was, but in a hot tub, Barkley from Philadelphia era, when your son was about 5 years old, he and another kid's player were in a hot tub with Barkley, splashing each other around, and Barkley ripped them by the shorts and said, "If you splash me one more time, I'm gonna rip your hearts out." That was Philadelphia Barkley. What the?
Well, Charles is Charles. I mean, he said, and that would be funny to me. Obviously, to 2 children, it wasn't funny. They were, they probably got quiet, like you, like you for a minute. Somebody takes something away from you, and you stomp around a little bit. But no, Charles was always a great guy. He was fun. He was entertaining, and got along great with him.
You can't help but rip into me whenever you can.
Now I know it's a fun show.
It is. It's not a serious show.
Well, how could you be doing it if it was?
Probably a lot better right now.
Yeah. It was a serious show?
No.
Oh, okay. So the only reason we're on live radio is because we're idiots.
Yeah, that's right.
There's too many sports shows out here.
Yeah, too serious.
Not too serious. That's why we call us the Valley Variety. We put the variety in Valley Variety.
We also stumble on our words, Tom.
Dolly Variety? Like Dolly Parton?
Valley.
Oh, Valley.
Valley Variety.
The
Valley Variety.
The Valley. You were supposed to wear your son's jersey today. Did you not?
I know, it was. It didn't. Well, I picked it up and it didn't smell too good, so I was like, okay.
You know he plays you in NBA 2K.
Let's see if he wants to win. That's what you should do.
We were playing 2K the other day, and I picked draining. Tom Chambers because you're on the Phoenix Suns all-time list on NBA 2K.
I've been told that even way back into Sega Genesis and all that. I mean, they used to let me, jump from the 3-point line and shoot from the half-court line, and I was always good on the games. But have I ever played myself on a video game? No. Not one time.
Have you ever seen like an avatar of yourself on?
I've seen a clip of me jumping from like half court and dunking.
Is it accurate what you look like in that? Is it?
No.
No, not at all.
I do even more accurate. You're an 88 overall on the all-time Suns. Is that right?
That's right.
So like 99 is the highest. Like LeBron and Michael Jordan are 99s on the all-time Cleveland and Bulls teams. You're an 88 on the Suns. Is that accurate to you, or do you think it should be higher?
Is that because that's the year I came here, or is that because I have no idea how you rate somebody? I'm the wrong person to ask. You'd have to tell me.
Look, Ronnie 2K does that when he asks about his video game. I'm just asking you.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. I do know this that when people play me, they win. So I think I should be rated higher.
Right.
That is actually true.
Basically, people put you as a B+ player. That's
B+ player compared to what?
Compared to Michael Jordan, apparently. I'm just speaking for
I'm
what
okay
their
with
ratings
that.
are. Okay. All right.
I mean, you played in that era with.
Yeah, you beat them. Hey,
MJ,
MVP of the All-Star game against Jordan and Johnson, Bird. Come on.
I had a good day.
Good day.
I mean, the All-Star MVP isn't too bad in that group of guys.
The Tom Chambers era is what I want to call it now.
Oh, that era. No, I wasn't even supposed to be. I wasn't even supposed to be in the game.
Really?
No, I mean,
you're the starter.
Well, that's a good point, and I'll tell you the story because you didn't do enough research. I was a substitute because Ralph Sampson blew out his knee, so I was invited in as an injury replacement. And since the game was in Seattle, Pat Riley being Pat Riley started me, which is pretty ballsy when you think about I wasn't even supposed to be in the game, and I'm starting ahead of guys that had been there, times before. So, so I was able to get the start. But yeah.
Is there any fun stories?
Part of your facts are accurate.
Gotcha.
Is there any fun stories you got from being in that locker room with guys? I mean, MJ itself. If you watch The Last Dance, you see all just the crazy stuff he would put guys through. Is there anything that?
No, it was just fun. I was just relishing the moment and enjoying the moment and being with these guys on my home floor in the Kingdome, which was big, spacious, and cold. Family was there. Fans were there. But to be able to play with Magic, run with Magic, because I was a runner, more than a shooter, I was a runner. Like you talk about Dirk. Dirk wasn't a runner. He was better in the half court. I ran and dunked for a living, led the league in dunks a couple years in a row. So that's kind of my game. So when you get to play with a Magic Johnson who's pushing the ball, all I had to do was run out, catch, and dunk. And it was perfect for me. That type of a game was really good. Now, in that All-Star game, Dr. J was his last All-Star game, so they kind of wanted him to be the MVP. And the East was kicking our butts pretty good, and that could have happened, but then we made a big run at the end and were able to win.
I do want to talk about more recent news because I know the Suns have kind of been scrambling as a media organization behind it, and the Suns general management as well has been scrambling because of Kyrie Irving yesterday. I want you to kind of talk about Kyrie, what he's doing with the Brooklyn organization. Do you think that happened before, like in your era of play? Have you seen players just start to request trades from organization to organization like Kyrie, Kevin Durant have been able to do?
It's new stuff. Guys go in there and they sign 1-year deals with an option, and it's crazy. I mean, we used to, Michael Jordan era, my era, we stayed with the team, and I left because I thought that I was going to be moved. But I'm not a fan of all of that. Kyrie's one heck of a player. You can't deny his skill set. He's as good as ball handler as I've ever seen ever in the NBA. But I like that type of stuff. I don't think it's good for the NBA, but it's kind of like we're calloused with it now because you hear about it all the time. Just go ahead and move me. But with Kyrie, I just think it came because he wanted a max 4-year deal and they weren't willing to give it to him, and so he said, okay, well then let me go and I'll find somebody that will. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But there's not a whole lot of time. There's just a few days for people to decide if they're gonna make a play for Kyrie or what the Nets are going to even expect, because he may not want to sign with you. And then what do you have? So you really can't give up a whole bunch for Kyrie if he's just what they call a 3-month rental, if you will.
Yeah, yes. And that's what I've been thinking about all this time. The Lakers want him, Mavericks want him, but the Suns also have CP3. But he's only going to be here for a couple more years until he decides to retire.
Well, putting that much money in one position, I don't know if that can happen. I don't know how that would happen. That's a big thing. And even if you acquire Kyrie Irving, you still have to match that salary. So you've got to give up enough salary to match it to have him come to whatever team he goes to. So they're going to have to be taken on contracts. I'm sure they're going to want contracts that are expiring so they can start over fresh. But there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked to make something happen there.
Yeah, with the remaining time we do have, how much the NBA has changed in terms of the expansion and you playing in Seattle for so long, obviously them losing their team to OKC. if they had a chance to move a team back to Seattle, get that chance, should Seattle get that chance to have that NBA fan base back there? Is that
Absolutely.
fan base still there?
It's a great fan base. I mean, when they left Seattle, it was like, okay, don't throw a fit, don't sue anybody, and we'll get one back to you. Well, it's been a long time waiting. So certainly that'll be the place that gets the team first, I would believe. You know, obviously people are talking about Las Vegas, you know, getting a team. The teams that have gone there, obviously in hockey, have been very good. You know, football is getting the support. You worry about that being kind of a migrant town or a team that just people just go to for special occasions. But there's a lot of steady population there now. So, I mean, I think that would be a city, even though they used to didn't like that because of the gambling, but now gambling is a huge part of the sport. So, so now I think those are the two cities that make the most sense.
Yeah.
Is it fair to ask you to choose between Seattle and Phoenix right now? Or
What do you mean?
Seattle or Phoenix? Like, which one did you have more success in your eyes?
Phoenix by far.
I mean, yeah, you went to a championship in Phoenix.
Well, no, but that's not that. I mean, I was an All-Star here 3 times. I mean, I led the team in scoring.
Yeah.
I was All NBA 2 years in a row. You know, I mean, I was never All NBA in Seattle.
Right.
So my years in Phoenix were as good as it could be. Yeah, it was. I was at my best in Seattle. I had me an All-Star year, and I loved my teams up there. When I first got to Seattle, it was the older guys: Jack Sickman, Gus Williams, and Fred Brown, and then it evolved to Xavier McDaniel and Dell Ellis, and we got good again up there, and that's why I was able to make the All-Star team and be able to do what I did. But yeah, I loved Seattle, but no, Phoenix is where I made a name for myself.
All right, we need to get you out of here, Tom, so you can get to your show with the Suns and polls and everything else.
You just went all robotic and
I
stuff.
I didn't. What do you? I just I'm trying to.
It's just that hardware you sleep with that bothers me.
So like we said, Tom needs to go because he's run out of time and we've run out of patience.
Well, I'm glad you got oxygen after coming up those stairs.
Hey, that's true. That's a little shout out to Cronkite of getting the elevator switched
Damn
as soon as
elevators.
possible.
All right, kids. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much, Tom,
Tom.
for the time.